everything here and set it up. Okay.
gone for the day or just one? Well, thank you. Thank you. How you hold? Oh, Van's not there.
Almost faster.
That's what he needs to.
But I don't know where
Let me check. I won't leave right here.
Okay. How we doing, sir? Okay? Okay. Just checking.
What we presented in the evidence, my exhibit.
I'll take some.
Sure. Yeah. Can you look to see
My partner here's going to take me out.
Oh, yeah?
He doesn't know it yet.
It does now.
A 3-minute warning, folks.
I'm not good with secrets.
Today's Purple Day and nobody.
Jay, hold on. Jay.
We have 4 more minutes, and then we're going to bring in the jury.
There's a bullet that's
And
Jay.
folks, you guys left a mess in the hallway. You need to clean it
Yeah,
up.
we're gonna clean it up. Yeah, he has it. Are they identified in any way? Look like Q.
No.
Sí, pero tú ves como Jay, esta es, Jay, so you can just leave right here.
Yes, I've made a few changes with the defendant not testifying. Yes. Yeah, you want to-
Yes. 3.38, still has the statute.
If you're going to be using those easels, I would recommend that you move them now so you don't have an awkward moment. Defense, what's our timetable? It's been 4 additional minutes. Defense?
Yes, Judge, just give me another 90 seconds to see if we can do this.
I'll text you. I need to make sure that the cameraman continues to have, while we're not in session, the volume needs to be off, please.
Take a look at it. They're gonna have to walk over. Well, they want to see what it is. They need to show.
There's some visual aids that are going to be used that we haven't seen.
Okay, Defense, if you please share the visual aids.
Help me? Yep. No, step over. It's easier to step over.
Okay, let's go back on the record in the state of Florida versus Medina. State defense and Medina are present.
But what we're looking at is some sort of a large floor area reporting to be the kitchen. There's a line of demarcation showing out of camera versus in camera views. I don't think there's been any person who's testified exactly to this exhibit, which is what it is. It's an exhibit. It's not been admitted to evidence. I don't think it qualifies as a monster to be, because it's attempting to show things which I think there's been no testimony to establish. Moreover, Judge, the defense is also apparently using these still images, which are of the video. These are not in evidence either, Judge.
There's roll-ups of
Okay, well, let's take the thing, the large,
Sure. Let me.
I don't even know how to describe this. It seems to be like a
This is a layout
schematic.
of the kitchen area. Their own crime scene forensic unit testified to the dimensions of it. And with Detective Grossman, I went over where the refrigerator was, where the counter was, where the stove was, where the compactor was, where the sink was, and where the dishwasher is. Plus, I mean, it's evident in the video itself that there's a line of demarcation. This is something we're using in closing argument. Just they're not taking it back to the jury room or that. It's an accurate depiction of the size of the kitchen. It's demonstrative. And it's accurate. This is using the measurements provided by their crime scene and giving the outline by their crime scene and their lead detective.
Steve?
But I think it does more than show measurements. It shows camera angles. That's a far cry from just a layout kitchen area.
Just give me a moment.
No, Judge, the video's been played over and over. It's clear that there's
Okay,
a line.
one moment.
Yes, sir. All right.
The only issue the court has with this demonstrative aid is there was no testimony other than the video itself as to the angle of the camera and what would be in camera view and out of camera view, because looking at the stills that we're going to talk about next, there's only, it seems like most of it comes from outside of the kitchen area, showing the living room area. And so I'm not sure that this is actually accurate and find it to be a little bit misleading. So defense, you want to convince me?
Yeah, of course I would like to judge the dimensions and the manner in which the kitchen outlay was confirmed by their witnesses, by their crime scene. And by
No, I'm not talking about the shape of the kitchen or the size of the kitchen. I'm talking about out of camera, in camera.
Judge, what we have is we've provided them, and I'll tell them this is a guesstimation. This is a guesstimation. I'll say you can rely on what's in the video, but we've provided there's clearly an area which is in camera, and there's clearly an area which is out of camera. That's uncontroverted. Now, we provided a line which we believe outlines what you can see, and it's consistent with what's here, where it goes into the kitchen area where you can see portions of the sink. And I'll refer to the video and I'll say, listen, that line may not be exact.
This is misleading because I'm looking at the photograph,
Well, look, come look at the
and
video.
this seems to indicate the floor. And there is no floor of the kitchen in the video. It's only the cabinet top overlooking the sink, the open bar area that goes into the adjoined dinette.
And not only that, Judge, but the camera angle here cuts out in the middle of this sink, but this picture clearly shows that the only part of the sink that's hidden is the corner of the sink that is furthest most inside and towards the north direction, which is the back of the kitchen. Otherwise, even in their own exhibit, which is a still of what's in evidence, almost the entire sink is shown versus here.
You can just point.
Okay? Even here, if you follow this line, it goes here. That's not accurate, Judge, because this entire part of the sink, the only part of the sink that's not in, is this, based on their own demonstrative aid that they're using.
Well, it's not a demonstrative. It's a blow-up of something that's in evidence. So that's not demonstrative. That is one of the photographs that was in Detective Ruano's CD, which we then took, replicated, and enlarged.
Well, I even take issue with the way the state indicates, because it would seem to the court that more of the left-hand sink is excluded from the video because it's the bottom portion of the video. Okay, this is what I'm going to permit you to do. You can flip it over, redraw out the dimensions, but the out of camera, in camera, that's misleading to the jury. So, or you can put a sticky over it, a piece of paper over it, however you want to do it. The dimensions, the court has no problem, but the out of camera, in camera is where the issue is. Okay? So you can make your argument from there. Okay? Any further argument about the
So, yeah.
How so?
Because the jury instruction doesn't give all these examples. The jury instruction lays out what the burden of proof is, and it doesn't give the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 examples.
Defense?
Gosh, yeah. Actually, it's actually pretty accurate. You know, it does from the definition of reasonable doubt is defined in the jury instruction. I'm simply extrapolating and giving the jury a roadmap as to what constitutes reasonable doubt, what constitutes not reasonable doubt. I don't think. Correct, burden of proof. I don't think the prosecutor can say that from not guilty to guilty by innocence, all those things should result the burden of proof.
Over the state's objection, I will permit it, but make sure you're very clear that the court will be giving you the law in this case.
Judge, then I have an objection to it being used in combination with this, which is apparently a mathematical formula to reasonable doubt.
Okay. Defense, do you want to be heard about this demonstrative, which is entitled Circumstantial Evidence, Sufficiency of the Evidence? Defense?
Yeah, Judge. I think the burden of proof is on the prosecution, so when the prosecution is unreasonable, the verdict has to be not guilty. And when I think it's an accurate depiction I think it's an accurate tool for the jury to make a determination as to what determines an acquittal or a conviction.
Okay, well, first of all, looking at it, I'm just going to say it's very confusing. You can make those arguments to the jury, but the court will not permit that one. Okay? And if you want to mark them so it's part of the file, you may.
The court is okay with the.
I would reject the entire purple line position, but that
Okay, the court will permit that.
any other visual aids.
That's it. The ones you bought.
Those are the same ones that we use.
Right.
Okay, I'm telling Jose to bring them in.
Okay.
For the record, the State Defense, Mr. Medina, all of our jurors are accounted for. Would the defense like to give a closing argument?
Yes, Judge.
So, I remember the beginning of this journey in terms of how the case started. One of the first things that jumped off at me was when I was sitting down and I was reading Derek's statement to the police for the one, to Detective Grossman, the one in D.C. And I'll tell you what jumped off the page. What jumped off the page is a set of questions that were asked and answers that were given that didn't make any sense. Derek tells these police officers that he's 25 and over. He even throws in the word that he was a professional. And moments later, he says that as a result of his wife throwing a punch at his head, he shot her. That's kind of like Olympic gold medalist for swimming saying, I shot my wife, and she tried to throw me into the short end of the pool. Doesn't that up? Didn't make sense to me. And I started thinking to myself, I go, is he a boxer? Is there evidence that he's a boxer? How can I look into this? And we did. The prosecution also did. And what did they have? What did they show? They showed me one video clip of Derek's own YouTube. What does that YouTube video say? Professional. It's in evidence. You'll be able to go into the video and look at it. But what does it say? Derek himself titles it Professional Boxing like one. I don't remember the exact name. But it's something to the effect of, I'm Derek Medina, I'm going to have a professional boxing match, and here's my sparring session. What was very unique about this situation was, what I discovered within 2 seconds of looking at that video, was that the ring had the words Royal Caribbean in the middle. And then, after watching the sparring session, or whatever that was called, the third session, I realized this is not a trained boxer. This is not someone that is in the boxing field. And so I started thinking to myself, I wonder what investigation they're going to do. I wonder if they're going to do a follow-up investigation. I wonder if they're going to talk to them again. Because who goes to the police after killing their wife and tells them, I'm an undefeated boxer. And that my wife, when she swung a punch at me, I shot her. So I was afraid that I was going to get killed. I mean, listen, I'm not a huge boxing fan. I'll tell you what, I see boxing matches. What happens in those boxing matches? You get punched in the face. Head, face, all over the place. By people that are looking to hurt you. And here's the kicker. Here's what this matters. Here's how this affects this case. Not that my client didn't tell the truth in a situation where not telling the truth doesn't help. The issue became, what did they do to follow up? That seems to be a resounding issue in this case. Let me give you an example, okay? We had the ability to watch 28 minutes of the actual, they call it a formal statement. Formal statements in parentheses because from the minute they read my client Miranda rights, the minute they sat down with him 4:04 on August 8th, from then on he believed he was underground, okay? And so there's a long time where Detective Grossman and the other detectives that were with him questioned. We don't know the contents of those conversations. But I got to tell you, the one time that they admit that there's a discrepancy in the case where in the unrecorded state, he says something, the issue becomes whether or not she had a knife, like she got in Jennifer, the second time he comes downstairs. Huge issue in this case. Huge issue in this case. Whether or not Jennifer Alfonso had in her hand, the second time Derek came down with a gun, whether or not she had a knife. And you know what the detective has done? They said, well, you know what? He gave a different statement in his pre-interview versus his first. And here's the shock. What he says in the second interview is different from the first, and the second answer is better for the prosecution. So instead of asking Derek, hey man, wait a minute, 20 minutes ago you said X. Now you're saying Y. Which is it? What do? They let him talk about anything that they want other than to address the most important issue. Because here's the thing, this kind of case for a prosecutor or a police officer, it's a layup. My client took a picture of his wife after he killed her and turns himself in and gives a statement. Who wants to think there's more to the story than that? I'll tell you, his defense. We're here because it's important for us to let you guys know the questions that should raise concern for this prosecution. First question I asked Detective Grossman is, what's more important? Getting to the truth or getting to the answer that you want? He said the truth. And then you sit back and you watch this investigation and you think to yourself, wait a minute, some guy tells you he's 25 and knows a boxer and his wife throws a punch in his head and he shoots her. And then you start thinking to yourself, wait a minute, did they imply something to him to say, why didn't you disarm her? And he goes, oh yeah, I disarmed her. Once again, no evidence of a disarmament. No physical wounds to succeed. And you start thinking to yourself, how comfortable am I with the statement he gave? I'm not. They asked him point-blank question, where's the gun? He said, upstairs. It sounds like it. Told you he's 25 and old as an amateur boxer. That's a lie. He told you he's a professional boxer. That's a lie. He told you he's a college graduate. These are all lies. But nobody investigated. No one said, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't add up. Let me detect. Let me investigate. The detective that came up here, the one that played the video of him doing his little sparring session, I told him, I go, doesn't that say World Caribbean in the center of the ring? And he's like, well, I didn't look. I'm like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Look. You don't just look at the video. You don't just look at evidence through your glasses that show you what you want to see. You're not a prize guy. You're here to find the truth and to administer the truth. And you have to ask yourself these questions. Why didn't they do a thorough investigation in this case? So, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what the prosecution provided. They started off with Officer Massey, the communication officer. What did she say? Derek came in with his dad. Derek said, my wife's happy. So, and yeah, she ordered that. We then know that after that, Officer that truly, the officer that came out, the guy's name, starts with D, Officer Edward, Detective Lopez, and Detective King were all in that line. Prosecution chose to bring the one person that didn't hear him say she had a knife. The defense wanted to make sure you knew that in that lobby, he told those officers not only that she had a knife, but she was coming at him with a knife, and it was his only option. Okay? Why is this important? Because it's as clear as day that nobody attempts to influence Derek Medina and that South Miami lobby. The South Miami lobby, which, mind you, he went and turned himself in. Okay? This whole situation is a tragedy. That's the reality. Okay? Somebody lost their life. It shouldn't have happened. This situation should have never gotten to where it was. But we need to evaluate what happened at that instant. Okay? We need to go back and we need to figure out that day how things worked out. Because it's not as easy as they want you to think it is. It's not. Think about it. What Derek Medina told those police officers without having any influence or regard was, she kidnapped me with a knife, so I had to shoot her.
It's all I could do. I asked Detective Lopez, did he say anything about having any other choice? He looked back at his statement and he goes, no, that's what he told me. He had no other choice. So, the prosecution then put some crime scene experts on this, that, and the other. And they also take a great picture, okay? It's a really important picture. It's important now. Is because this shows the kitchen sink, okay? And what's so eloquently put here is this napkin. This napkin that's below this, I want to say sponge, okay? And you have to look where that is in the kitchen. That's a few, that's a good foot or two. You'll look at it, you can make your own determination. That's not on the edge of the sink. That's deep kind of in it. That's important. That's important later when we go back and show you that the image that you see that I'm going to go over with you and over with you and over with you has to be, can only be the butt of the knife that was Jennifer's hand. Okay? But remember this picture now, because this is a picture that the prosecutors haven't seen plenty of. And it shows the napkin and the sponge. And it shows you where it is in the kitchen. Okay? Now, prosecutors went to great lengths to tell you that Jennifer Alfonso was out in theater. She got shot in the low position. And what they did is they got their medical exam. Dr. Probably, also known as Dr. Lou. Okay? And Dr. Lou sat there and she started giving opinions. And there's one bullet out of all the bullets in this case that matters. Okay? From a legal perspective. All those bullets were used. But there's one that makes a difference as to whether or not she was on her knees or whether or not she was up and in a fighting position. And that's the bullet in the back. Okay? So what did Emma Lou tell you? Emma Lou said in January of this year, when we took her deposition, and when we asked about that bullet, she said, I don't know. And then, me, lawyer, not a forensic examiner, no one that has any experience doing forensic examining, that I gave her the suggestion that that bullet was a ricochet. And then they, without backing the report, took that theory and ran. Let's let that sink in for a second, okay? The chief medical examiner of Miami-Dade County wasn't sure what happened, but then listened to me about this one bullet. Okay? Remember what she said about that bullet. She said that that bullet ricocheted off the Formica, went inside Jennifer Alfonso's back, created like a laceration, went inside, then fell out, and then somehow, magically, got underneath the rug. Is it a coincidence that our expert, Dr. Michael Lawton, was commissioned by the United States to reinvestigate the assassination of JFK? Where they had a magic bullet? Where they had a magic bullet?
Just try.
Continue.
There's a magic bullet in this case. That's a magic bullet that doesn't make sense for them. Dr. Bond told you, that's not a ricochet. Hard surfaces create ricochets. Oh, that bullet was never analyzed. They never looked at that bullet to make that determination. You know how they came to the decision that that was a ricochet? Me, a lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer. That's how Dr. Lou got on the stand and told you guys with a straight face, that's where that bullet came from. Dr. Lou, it was so funny because, they had this dummy, this black dummy, this amorphous physique, with all these bullets. How do you prevent it? On her knees, bended down in the same deep position. When we asked Dr. Emma Lou, is that the position that you believe that she was shot? What did she say? She said no. She said no. Dr. Emma Lou's position with regards to how that one bullet took place, not credible. She buckled under question. I've never seen Dr. Lou just evade questions until she was forced to give an answer, and the answer didn't help them. The key to this case, because remember, the prosecution told you she was on her knees in a cowering position. The key to this case is for you to understand she wasn't. That bullet is indicative exactly what Dr. Michael Bond told you. She was upright, moving forward. That's the only way that bullet could have gotten inside of her. And they missed it. They missed it. They missed it. They missed it. They missed it in the x-rays. He told you. First of all, you have to think to yourself, on a complex shooting, why would you let somebody who's novel at that position do an autopsy on a complex shooting? That's what they did. Dr. Dana Johnson, we've heard that name a bunch of times. We saw Dr. Hamalu, we heard Dr. Johnson's name. But here's the thing. He told you that the manner in which that bullet went in is consistent with how the x-ray shows. There's no demarcation on the spine. She was standing up. She was 100% in that position. And that position is consistent. Remember, think about how her legs were. If you picked her up from her position being down, she would be in a fighting position. In a fighting position. Now, Mo, give me the... I want you to understand that everything that matters in this case transpired, transpired in a kitchen, 3 feet wide, and about 6 feet deep. This is the area, 3.5 feet by 5.5 feet.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you need to stand to get a good look, please feel free to do so.
This is it. These are the dimensions of that kitchen, okay? These are the dimensions in which this event transpired. And remember now, we all know that a portion of the video captured a portion of the kitchen. We all know that that the remaining portion of the kitchen is not memorialized on video. So, think about this action. The fighting between Derek Medina and Jennifer Alfonso occurred in this little area. Okay? Now, let me go back to Derek Medina's statement to the police. What did he say? He said he disarmed her, put the knife back in the drawer, and she hit him again, and he shot him. Let's think about it. The drawer, here we go. Now you guys remember, there was 2 drawers where the knives were, right? And there was a drawer on the right with like regular cutlery knives, and a drawer on the left which had the knives that were an issue. There's tons of pictures of it. You'll be able to look at it, okay? But where is the drawer with the knives, with the big knives? Is it to her right? No. It's to her left. Which means that if he did disarm her without sustaining any injuries, he would have had to take the knife, turn around, and put it back. What's behind her? How can he do that if she's standing here? Think about common sense in a small kitchen when they are having an altercation that he claims he disarmed her with his knife, with a knife, and then he took the knife and he put it back in the drawer. You'll look at the way the drawers are. There's one drawer set here on this side, on the right side, and then one on the left side. If you look at the pictures in the case, they're going to show you the big knives, the one that he described to Detective Grossman, are on that side. The side Jennifer's on. Okay? Common sense has to come into play because I'm not a detective, but I would have asked them, hey, isn't that where the knives were? If you took the knife from her and replaced it, she was free to move. She could have walked right out the door. Their positions would have been switched. She would have been on this side and he would have been on that side. And we all know that's not the case. We all know that's impossible. And I'll tell you how we know. What we've done is we've showed you guys, we slowed it down, we went frame by frame, that in the bottom right-hand corner of the kitchen, where this napkin is, okay? Right. You're going to see Jennifer walk in at 7:28, 7:29. 7:28, 7:29. You see the interaction. This is the second time he's downstairs, okay? And you see Derek come in. And as you see him walk in, there, they are in this area. Pause it. They are in this area. They are both in this limited area. Now, what do we know? We know that Derek is facing her. How do we know that? Because throughout the course of this clip, you see Derek, you see his shoulder and his body moving backwards. Now, I'll tell you, who moves backwards in a situation? Someone attacking or someone being attacked? Play. Please. Now, clearly, there was an event that caused him to pop his arm. Go ahead, play. He goes back in at 7:30. And constantly moving backwards. Constantly. He's moving back, and that's indicative of someone that's retreating. He's moving back because she's hitting him. She's striking him. And pause it. And I'll tell you how we know this. Because what we presented to you in evidence, what we showed you, is uncontroversial. Her own words that day with her friend, Kelly Derrick Harper. Remember the girl that we played a videotape of her testimony? Okay? And in her testimony, she had these Facebook messages that were deceiving Jennifer Alfonso. These are their words. Now, she also said that this is a typical conversation, but I'm going to let you guys make that determination. Who has a typical conversation early in the morning? I mean, at the inception of the day, where they're telling a friend, I felt like ripping his face off an hour ago. Her words, Jennifer Alfonso's. Her words that morning. I'm going to read it again. I felt like ripping his face off an hour ago. Not like, oh, he's so mean, is that? No. Not I'm upset, I'm hurt. No. Literally telling her friend what she wants to do in specific language. I mean, I got to tell you, if you read this as a person not associated with it, you look at the language that's used. It's violent in nature. And that's not the only thing she says. Later on, before she stops, I need to, and this is after she spoke with Derek in the morning, where she was upset that he didn't wake her up at 1:30 in the morning to watch videos. And what is his reaction? That he said she was inconsiderate, and she's like, well, he doesn't want to spend time with me. He doesn't want to spend time with me, and I don't understand this, that, and the other. And so instead of trying to make up with him, she's mad. She's mad. That position is not only clearly elucidated in these text messages, where after saying, I want her to rip his eyes out, she goes, I need to calm down because I feel like I'm about to explode. Her words. Let me tell you, how many text messages or Facebook messages did you get from Derek Medina, from the prosecutor, or from anybody saying that he had an intention to hurt her that day? Zero. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. her words with one person that morning within the span of an hour saying, I want to rip his eyes out of his head, I feel like I need to calm down. Couldn't explode. And then, what do we have? We then have Jennifer Alfonso. You'll be able to go back in the back and play it. Going upstairs and downstairs. Upstairs and downstairs. And what do you think she's doing? I'll tell you what she's doing. She's going up there to pick a fight. She's going up there, saying things, trying to initiate an argument, and that's clear. And let me tell you how you know it's clear. Because when he doesn't follow her downstairs to be able to continue the confrontation, what does she do? She goes to the front door, goes to it, hits the sensor, and beep, beep. And let me tell you, she knows. Anybody who's got a sensor in their house, or anybody who's got two eyes, knows. What she did is she went downstairs, she opened the door to hit the sensor, and what happens? There it comes downstairs. Piece she left. Okay? What has she done? She's angry. She's angry. She's getting ready to explode. She wants to rip the eyes out of his head. What does she do? She lures him downstairs. Now, people could say, well, you know what? Maybe they were both fighting upstairs. Maybe he was also a jerk upstairs. But what can I tell you? We heard the words in the scene strong. We heard Isabel's words. What did she say? Played in the back. Derek was trying to calm Isabel down. He's trying to calm her down upstairs. But she was, let me tell you, she stood in her down all night. She was not going to let this go off. For what? For not getting up to watch movies? I don't know. I've never been that upset. It's not for me to decide. It's for you guys to take into consideration all the evidence. What does the evidence show? She's upset. Upset enough to write that kind of language to someone. The video shows her going upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs to engage Jennifer, to engage Derek. And what do we know about when she's upstairs trying to engage Derek? That Isabel says he's trying to calm her down. It's not my witnesses. It's not Derek saying this. And you know what's so crazy? Is that, don't you think, I mean, Isabel said what she said. You have to take her credibility out of it, because at that point she didn't know what happened. But she has no motive to be one way or the other. But she said Derek was trying to calm down. She even said, oh, he was trying to calm her down a certain type of way. And he's trying to calm her down. And that's important. How can you tell to the cops? Right? I was upstairs trying to calm her down. You heard her talk about it for a little bit. But the fact that Isabel says it, but Derek doesn't, does that raise a question mark as to what was said in that pre-interview? That this little girl says, listen, he was trying to calm her down. That's what you need to get from that statement for us. Because the rest is whatever it is. But he's trying to calm her down. So what do we have? We have an agitated angry. We have Jennifer, agitated, angry. We have evidence of her going upstairs, not once, not twice, 7 times, to engage Derek. To engage Derek, to hit him, to verbally, who knows what she did. But each time, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs, how many times does he follow her down? Not once. How many times did Jennifer call the police because she was afraid of him? Not once. What matters here is this. Jennifer Alfonso lured Derek downstairs to engage in a fight. I'm not making it up. You all saw it. You saw it with your own eyes. You didn't need to go back there and look at it. Because that's what happened. That's the only thing that is the only explanation for what happened. And what happened next was 2 people that one was clearly upset, clearly the aggressor, and there was Derek. I'll tell you this. She had no bruises around her face, which were indicative of him hitting her back. So he's taking them. You've seen the videos. Go back and watch it. He's constantly stepping back, so you see he's retreating. And why is he doing this? Because she's hitting him or trying to hit him. It's the only explanation. It's the only explanation. And then the question becomes, what caused him to go upstairs? Did she grab that knife? Did she hit him and say, you know, do what you need to do. I'm going to kill you, something to that effect. We don't know. But based on what preceded that, don't you think that's possible? Don't you think that's something that could happen? And let me tell you why that matters. Because at the end of the day, if Jennifer Alfonso armed herself and then Derek went upstairs to get his gun because that was the only way for her to stop hitting him, and he comes downstairs, and then they have what is unfortunately beginning to change. Okay? And let me tell you how I know. When we play the rest of this video, you're going to see in this bottom right-hand corner a black image. Okay? Now, they will tell you that nothing was recovered on the scene that was consistent in shape, in size, and manner. And what you'll see is this. Whatever it was passes over this napkin, which is here. Okay? Let me tell you what I think happened. I think Jennifer had the knife. They were both chastising each other. She comes to him. He pushes her back. And what you're seeing is with the knife in hand, the knife goes back, and she falls back and uses the sink area to get balance. Because look how deep this is. Look how deep that is. Think about it. Look at that picture. Look where that napkin is. How deep that is. If it was, they're going to say, oh, it was Derek. Imagine how he would have to position himself with the gun, with his left hand, but then, and that's laughable. That's laughable. Both enemies said the shots were done in the right hand, and look at the injury she sustained with her left hand. Okay? That's Jennifer Alfonso holding the knife, falling back, and then when she reestablishes her position, she comes to Derek again. 1.6 seconds after you see that blimp is when he opens fire. Because if she's got a knife in her hand, if she has a knife in her hand, this is a self-defense example in law school. Think about it. If she's got a knife in her hand, and we've shown you in great detail her perception, her attitude, her actions, what she did all morning long to initiate a confrontation with Derek and Medina. And I'll tell you what, you look at the video, and at no point in any of these do you see her trying to leave. Right? You don't see her trying to leave. When Derek goes upstairs to get the gun, do you see her running out? You don't. Because she is egging him on. Go upstairs, get that gun. Degrading, insulting. You don't have the balls, you don't have this. And then he comes downstairs, and she's got the knife, and he's got the gun. And she comes at him, pushes back, and you see the butt of the knife. You see it. Get in there. You see, when you're there, let me go. You see the butt of the knife. You're going to see the butt of the knife. And what does that mean? That means 1.6 seconds before he starts shooting, she had a knife in her hand. And she was in this area. In this area. Which means Derek's over there. Now. I'll direct your attention when we get there, because it'll be at 7:33 and 33 seconds. Alright? So this is what we need to understand from our perspective. This is a difficult situation for most people to comprehend. Because most people in a situation like this would ask, how am I supposed to know what's going on outside of my view when we know that he fired the gun? So the question becomes, was she armed, and did she pose a threat to him? Could she inflict serious bodily injury or death upon Derek Medina prior to him shooting? Think about it. I'll tell you, if the shoe was on the other foot, if you heard a story about a woman whose husband was angry at her, who sent messages to his friends saying he wanted to rip his wife's eyes out, how he was getting ready to explode, how you heard from their child that the wife was trying to calm her husband down, but he wasn't happy. You see her husband go up and down the stairs 7 or 8 times, and then he goes and trips the sensor because he's trying to work his wife downstairs. And you see her come down, and then you see her backing up, and you know what's happening because he's striking her. And he goes upstairs, she goes upstairs, and she gets a gun, and she comes down, and I show you the same thing. There it is. And I show you that. And I tell you, this woman was in fear because she had been ridiculed, she'd been threatened, she had been the victim of a day of torment in just a few hours. The child backs it up, text messages back it up, her actions back it up. And I show you this. I don't even know if that woman's getting arrested. She may even get an award. At the beginning of this case, you told me you would treat my client the same as a human being. It didn't matter if he was a man or a wife. Imagine if there was a woman. Imagine if you read text messages from a man that wanted to hurt his wife. Imagine if you saw a video telling you about a woman that's trying to calm down her angry husband. Imagine if you saw the video of that husband going upstairs, downstairs, reinstigating aggression over and over and over and over. And then you saw the wife come down, and you see her moving back, because guess what she's saying to him? And before that, to be lured downstairs, you see the husband go hit the sensor to bring his wife downstairs. And then I showed you this. Can you go back and forth with it? This, guys, is happening right there. Look at it. Use common sense to make a determination of who's on what side. That has to be her. You know, common sense dictates it. That can't be Derek. That has to be her. And that... Let me see the knife, please. That thing is the handle of the knife. I do need gloves. What else could it be? That's a knife. 100%. No doubt about it. That's a knife. We caught it. The defense found it. We caught that black image. What we have done in presenting you this word, this snippet of the knife, at this point, we have created reasonable doubt. That's what that is. Because the second you agree that that's a knife, she's armed within 1.6 seconds and moving this knife right next to Derek. In this space, in this tiny space. Come on, think about it. Let that sink in. That's what this is. And remember, I told you, the fight, she falls back, and that once blurred is the second that it goes through the screen. Use common sense to visualize how this happens. Because once you realize that this knife was in her hand, that's a game changer. Then everything you felt at the beginning of the case, when the prosecution did their bit, and they showed you this evidence, and you were disgusted by what my client did, everything changes. It has to. Because this is what happened in that room. It's not me. I didn't create it. You even heard the state's expert say. That's what's going on in the room at that moment. And remember, look where it is. Look where it is. Go back in the jury room. Use this picture. Use the video. Slow it down. Pause it. Talk about it. Think about the dimensions of the room. I mean, only thing you can come to a decision on is that this knife was in Jennifer Alfonso's hand. And if the knife's in her hand, nobody wants. Listen, it's hard to do the right thing when the right thing is a bad thing to do or a hard thing to do. Okay? But in this situation, you have no choice. That's the reality.
Mr. Zucker, before you put the gloves off, can you please put it back in the box, please?
Sorry,
Ladies and gentlemen, you are the judges of fact in this case. The evidence comes from the witness stand. You may continue.
To evaluate the evidence, what choice do you have? You have to take into account just what I fed you right now. What I fed you that day. Forget about the inconsistencies and some of the investigations, why certain questions were asked. I mean, that's important, okay? Because what the prosecution wants you to do is just listen to Derek's testimony, Derek's statement, and that's it. Because with that, he's guilty. With his statement and the video and the posting, guilty, back there for 30 seconds, come out, happy Thanksgiving. You can't do that. You can't do that because what we've shown you. And what we've shown you is a timeline of what Jennifer Alfonso did that day. Now, it's tragic. Don't get me wrong. It's tragic what occurred here. Okay? It's tragic. But you have to follow the law. And the law tells you that in no uncertain terms, if somebody comes at you with a knife and you've got a gun and you're in fear, guess what? In Florida, you can act. You can stand your ground. You can meet force with force, up including to deadly force. The judge is going to read you the instruction. And the instruction is very clear. Okay? If Derek Medina reasonably believed that he was in imminent fear of serious bodily injury or death, he could act in the manner in which he did. The manner in which he did. And let me tell you, Ben Caesar came out here and told you you could empty the clip and combat situations in 3 seconds. And let me tell you, that's absolutely what happened. This was a damn situation. This was a situation where two people were involved in a situation that neither one wanted. But Jennifer Alfonso preached it. That's what she did. Jennifer Alfonso. She could put the knife. She's got it. It's there. It's 100% there. And when you go back in the jury room, you need to sit down. Think about the dimensions. Think about Exhibit 27. There's a bunch of them. Take a look at number 27 and see where this is. And look on how deep into the kitchen that is. They're going to come and say, oh, that's what he said. He switched hands to disarm. That's garbage. Okay? That's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense because then you would have disarmer, put the gun back. Doesn't make any sense. 1.6 seconds. You can't disarm somebody, put the knife away, and come back. Doesn't make sense. Derek's statement is a statement that should be questioned. I don't know why he said it. I don't know why he said he was a 25-year-old undefeated boxer, but things he said weren't true. He posted stuff about it before this event. That's not true. What's true is what we've shown you. Her messages. Isabel's statement. And the video. Look to see how many times Derek moves back. Remember Jennifer's statement about him trying to calm her down. And if you thought at any point that Jennifer Alfonso was afraid of Derek Medina, look how many times she tries to leave or go get her dog to leave. The answer is 0. Look how many times she called the police or tried to call fire rescue or a friend saying, I'm scared. The answer is 0. She tells her friend, the last message here, I feel like I want to leave. But what she do was upstairs, instigate fights, downstairs, upstairs, instigate fights, and then lures him with the door thing. That right there shows you her mind frame. I need him to come downstairs so I can fight him because I can't really fight upstairs because Isabel's there. This is hard. This is a hard decision for you guys to make because it's not the easy one. It's not the one everybody wants. Listen, we've only been here a few weeks, believe me. You know, it's been an exhausting process. At the end of the day, you have to do the right thing. And the right thing in this case is the hardest thing to do. The hardest thing to do. Because the young lady lost her life. And it shouldn't have happened. But her actions caused it to happen. And I hate to say it. I hate to say it. But I'm saying it based on her text messages, based on her daughter's statement, based on the video that we see. Because the only thing that we can really see in this video with regards to what happens physically between them, I mean, listen, you could sit back, you could sit there and try to take a look at the shadows and make a determination of whether or not it's going on, but you'll be able to see the movement. What that movement suggests is an altercation. And then you'll see that Derek is the one that's always moving back, and when there's a point, he stops and he goes upstairs. And we're telling you he did this because she was arming herself. And the only way to claim an even field was for him to arm himself. Yeah. Smart? No. Not smart on either part. This became a situation that was created by Jennifer Arnold. She wanted to push Derek. She pushed him. She pushed him too far. She pushed him to the point of no return. But she was going to push him. And I can tell you right now, everybody here that's looking at me, I know it's not an easy decision. Now let me tell you, this black image, the bottom right-hand screen,